Hey, well, welcome to Iron Sharpen Iron, a space where we have these kind of conversation that kind of sounds like a phone call with a close friend, a kind where you kind of just let your hair down, but speak truth and empower each other. This all kind of started about over a year ago, where I kind of gathered some of my friends together, and we just started having these powerful conversations that uplift and empower. It's a safe space, no condemnation, no judgment. We just all listen with empathy, with encouragement, always reflecting God's heart. So I want to thank you for joining me today, Trudy. I
Well, thank
appreciate
you for
it.
asking me. I feel honored.
Of course, you've been there since day one, so I had to get the day one to do the first one. Hallelujah. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. I can honestly say that I am doing. I'm doing well.
That's
I
good.
am.
That's good. That's good. I'm just so grateful for how you have shown up since the beginning and supported. And even as we wanted to go ahead and create the content for social media, we couldn't think of anybody else who would be that person but you. So I thank you for doing it. And even for allowing our topic, um, aging gracefully, walking in your calling. So just start right there. Um, what does it mean to you to age gracefully?
Um. Well, we're all aging.
Mhm.
You know. When I was younger, I don't think I really imagined myself being 65. You know.
Mm,
We see our parents' age and other, in our family age, but we don't actually see ourselves there until all of a sudden here we are. Um, and that word gracefully, I don't know if I'm aging gracefully, but I'm fighting for it. I'm
I
fighting
love it.
for it. And
Mhm,
what do I mean by I'm fighting for it? I'm a gym girly, as they
mhm,
say. So I about 3 years ago, I started going to the gym, and not just going, but I started weight training. And I
mm,
don't even know why, but after I started my journey with weight training, I found out that building muscle is important in general when you're aging.
mhm,
Um, I tell people, I said, when I go to the grocery store, I want to continue to push my shopping cart. I don't want to ride in it. And
mhm.
that means having muscle, upper body strength, strengthening your core, your legs, so that you can still be mobile and get up and do things on your own and move about. Because when I retire, I want to be able to keep moving, keep doing things, and enjoying my life. We never know what's going to happen. Anything could happen, but I'm going to manage what's in my hands to manage. And managing my body is my responsibility. So I picked
Yes.
up that responsibility to honor my body. It's not about, in a certain way, it's about how you look,
Mhm.
but it's also inward about how it makes you feel,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely. Absolutely. Did you have like something medical going on that made you start that journey, or it was just something that you decided to do?
Well, I have been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis.
Okay.
Okay, so my joints would hurt. I had inflammation. My rheumatologist he would never say that I was overweight,
Mhm.
but he would say that if you weighed less, it would be less pounding on your knees. So
Mhm.
then I started, okay, let me try to lose some more weight. And I
Yeah.
did realize that that first 10 pounds I lost, my
Mhm.
knees weren't hurting as much.
Hmm. Okay.
So I said, well, maybe he does know what he's talking about. Maybe he does know. So that, that sparked it in me. And then,
Mhm.
I needed some help. And then with the whole muscle building and all those things. So I have a trainer that I see 3 times a week. But
Oh, wow.
that was the beginning of it. It was the seed planted by my rheumatologist telling me that if I weighed less, it would be less pounding on my knees, which would be less
Mhm.
pain, and I'd be more mobile.
Mhm. That's
And I
good.
want
I
to be
mean, that's
mobile.
good.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I just started going to the gym with my son, and my back was hurting. I don't know. I had been picking up some bags or something. And I was like, man, I don't feel like it, but I'm going to go to the gym. And he insists every time I go, I have to do weight training. He said, Mom, don't do all that cardio. Just come on and let's start doing the
Mhm.
weight training. And it's amazing how much better I felt
Mhm.
after I did some of the machines, that exercise. It was like it just, my sister said it may have been strengthening my back, but it just felt like it was loose. My muscles were, I guess they were moving instead of
Mhm.
just staying and being still. So, I can definitely identify with what you were saying about that. So your journey of aging gracefully kind of started just, I would say physically, just in health wise,
Mhm.
health and wellness. So, you know,
Yes.
as you've gotten to this point, are you where you thought you'd be at this point in your life?
No. I am not where I thought I would be, and that's a good thing because
Mhm.
our thoughts have a limit.
Mhm.
We see ourselves and what we can do in our minds. We think we can do this much,
Mhm.
and we aim for this much. But God is like, yeah, okay, you can aim for that, but there's more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
once God gets involved in it, you're doing what you're doing.
Mhm.
And even on my road to where I am today, God got involved with the details.
Mhm.
And when he got involved with the details, that's when I began to see more for myself because God started showing me things, directed me in certain ways to go,
Mhm.
so that I could see it too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so then when I started to see it, it
Mhm.
motivated me. I'm like, you know, imposter, they call it imposter syndrome. Are you
Right.
sure, God, that's for me? I don't know if I can do all that. That sounds like a
Mhm.
lot. Um, and I start to have thoughts in my mind of people who I knew that were doing what is calling me to do. And I thought
Uh-huh.
those are some of the smartest people in the room. Surely that can't be it.
Oh,
surely,
wow. It's
surely that can't be what you're saying. And he was like, oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
mhm.
And it
Yeah.
took, um, I had never, I started going to school and I got my bachelor's degree. And I
Okay.
never thought about doing anything else. I wasn't
Mhm.
thinking about any other degree. And
Mhm.
I believe that God used Dr. Faye Weems at
Mhm.
Changing the Generation to
Yep.
to ignite the thing in me to go to seminary. Because I never would have
Okay.
gone to seminary. I didn't, what do I need that for? Like, I'm a legal secretary. This is what I'm going to do. And then that's going to
Right.
be it.
Right.
Why do I need to go? But it was like I had to do it. Like I could not do it. God was
Mhm.
like, yes, you are. And I
Yeah.
filled out my application. And the thing was, I got an acceptance letter that came with a scholarship, even
Wow.
more incentive. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. So,
Right.
right. And then when I was in seminary, seminary exposed me to chaplaincy.
Okay.
And I never even really thought about a chaplain, never wondered what they do. It just was never on my radar.
Was it a module that you guys studied? How did it introduce it to you?
Imma tell you, God is so funny. So, it was a class called Pastoral Education,
Okay.
and, I was taking that class, and it was like, "Oh, if you do an internship,
Mhm.
a C a unit of chaplaincy, you can get 12 credits for those 3 months. We could take 3 classes from your
Mhm.
graduation schedule." I
Really?
was like, "Okay, I'm all for getting out early and spending less money."
Uh-huh.
So, that's how God directed
Okay.
me in that area, and once I did it, I fell in love with it. It was like, "This is what I'm supposed to be doing." It's just like a light bulb went off. "This is what I'm supposed to
Uh-huh.
be doing." And, when I had my interview,
Mhm.
when I tell you the interview was 2 hours long,
What?
I sat with 2 people. They were asking me questions. Now, this is the first time I had ever even heard of chaplaincy
Mhm.
and going into this field, and it was 2 hours, and they were asking me questions, asking me my story, my life story, how did I get here? How did I see God in my life? It was like this whole thing that opened me up, and it was very intense. But
Mhm.
I got a, you know, letter saying, "Welcome aboard. You've been accepted."
Mm.
And I said,
Wow.
"Okay." And during that process of getting my first unit of CPE, I knew that that is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes.
I knew that
Yes.
the hospital or um, nursing home or hospice, because I worked in all 3 of those
Mhm.
spaces, it was what I'm supposed to be doing. And
Yeah.
just the encounters that I had with patients,
Mhm.
how I would go in and they would be like, Miss Duncan, we have a new person. They're not talking to anyone. They won't talk to anyone. Maybe you can talk to them. So it was this one patient in hospice. I went in, I introduced myself. He was watching TV. I said, "What you doing? What show are you watching?" He never opened his mouth.
Mm.
So I just sat down and started watching TV with him. I sat
Wow.
there for about 20 minutes.
Mhm.
He never said anything. I got up. I said, "All right, I'll see you next time." The
Mhm.
next day I came in. They said he's still not talking to anyone, and we ordered him some. He wanted some McDonald's, and they got him some McDonald's. So I went in his room again. I said, "I'm back again." He didn't say
Mhm.
anything. So he dropped something. He dropped the control for his bed on the floor, and he couldn't get it. So I got up,
Okay.
got it, gave it to him, and I just
Mhm.
sat down. Never said anything. He didn't want to talk, so I'm just sitting there.
Mhm.
Taking up space.
Yeah.
He never said anything. The 3rd day when I came back, I went in. I said, "What are we watching today?" And he started talking to me.
Wow.
And he talked to me for 2 hours.
What?
2 hours. I mean,
Wow.
I heard his whole life story about how his family had mistreated him and all
Mhm.
the things that was weighing on his heart. He told me.
Wow. I
And
mean, I'm just listening to you and how you just had how did you I mean, you took up the space like you had done this for years.
what that's I had never done it.
I know, but
And
you
but
just
I was
did it
like,
instinctually.
right, because I had found, well, in the classes I have found, I we had talked about just taking up space or
Mhm.
giving people space to say whatever they want to say. It's not about talking and
Mhm.
having something to say all the time, because it's not about me.
Right.
It's about the patient and what they want to say and if they want to say anything.
Mhm.
So I did what they said. I just took up
Okay.
space and allowed him to say whatever he wanted to say or not say anything, which was fine.
Mhm.
But he finally opened up and talked to me. And every day I came after that, we had good conversations for at
Mhm.
least an hour. We
Mhm.
had good conversations, and he was telling me that he was gonna be leaving. They were moving him to another, facility. Even though he was in
Mhm.
hospice, he wasn't, like, at the end of life at that point. They were
Mhm.
having him there till they could put him in a long-term care
Okay.
facility that was further out near his family.
Mhm.
So that's why he was there. So, and he says, I'm glad I met you. He was very thankful for
Mhm.
me listening and everything. And the next day I came, he wasn't there, that he had been transferred. So that was one thing that I think God showed me, that just show up. If you do what I tell you to do and just show up,
Mhm.
I'm going to make a way. And you're going to have an opportunity to speak some life into him and to share some things with people, what
Mhm.
I want you to share, not what you think you should share, but
Yeah.
the things that I prompt you to share. And that's what I did.
So do you think this experience helped to confirm that you were definitely in the right place, you were on the right track?
Yes,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
absolutely,
Uh-huh.
um, it absolutely confirmed it for me. It
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
did. And I
Yeah.
went on to, from the hospice, I went on to work at Wellstar. That was downtown. They've closed it down now, but I was at Wellstar. And I
So
just
you
had,
were working? Were they paying you or was this volunteer?
no, they don't pay you because it's considered a class.
Okay. Okay.
So it was a part of class. So you went
Okay.
and you got credits for that. So I didn't get paid for it, but it was very I learned a lot from sitting with
Yeah.
patients and people telling me their story and hearing.
Mhm.
And when you're in the hospital, you meet people sometimes at the worst point of their lives,
That's right.
at
That's
the
right.
worst point of their lives. And it's not a time to go in and preach, and it's just not a time for that.
No.
And a lot of people, they ask me about chaplaincy and, oh, you're praying with people. Sometimes you never pray with people,
Mhm.
because as a chaplain, we're not allowed to pray unless they ask us.
Mhm.
So we can't
Okay.
go in and say, oh, I come to pray for you. No. You go
No.
in,
No.
you speak, you talk to them. They talk to you. They may talk to you about whatever is going on in their lives, or what brought them there, or family. You never know what the conversation is going to be.
Mhm.
And sometimes they do ask you
Yeah.
um, to pray. I was with this one family. I came. They had their first grandchild was
Mhm.
born, so they were there, and the whole family was there. The
Mhm.
grandparents, everybody was in the room. I went in and just spoke and asked them how they were doing and everything. We had a conversation, and so I said, "Well, I'm going to leave you to your families." Well, he says, "Are you going to pray with us?" I said, "I absolutely can." I said, "I can."
Okay, that's
And
good.
I came back, and I prayed for the whole family, everybody that was in the room, the baby, the husband,
Oh,
everybody.
that's so
And
beautiful.
it was so refreshing for them to ask
Mhm.
for prayer. And when I said the end, I said amen. And he's like, "You covered all the topics. I like it." He said, "You covered all the topics." I said, "Well, I'm glad I did." So you
Yeah.
have moments that are joyful, and
Mhm.
you have moments that are not so much. I've
Mhm.
had some
Mhm.
good days, and I've had some really, really tough days doing chaplaincy. I
How'd
was
you deal with the tough days? Because I mean, nobody talks about those days.
You really need time to decompress. When I was also over at Grady,
Uh-huh.
and I had my first overnight, because everybody has to do overnights. You may have to do one overnight
Mhm.
a month or every 6 weeks, or depending upon how many people are there on staff. So I had my first overnight, and during my first overnight, I had 3 deaths.
Oh, wow,
And
man.
it was very hard to go from one person to
Yeah.
another person to another person. And you can't get caught up in that first set of people, because after you
Mhm.
finish with them, you have, before I can even get back up to my room, the
Mhm.
chaplain's room. On my way there, the pager went off again, and they said,
Mhm.
come back." And I had to go back, and we had a whole nother set of family members come in for another issue. Their mother had passed away, and that
Mhm.
was, that was extremely hard because the
Mhm.
chaplain works closely with the social worker. So
Okay.
this is me and the social worker. And that was hard. And then by the time I got back upstairs to the chaplain room, like maybe an hour later, I
Mhm.
get a call, come down, I run downstairs, and there's a gentleman in there, and he's in cardiac arrest.
Mm.
And they were you CPR doesn't look anything like what you see on TV.
Hmm.
It doesn't. It's so brutal. It's very hard. And I
Yeah.
stood there and watched that gentleman pass away. And then I had to wait for his wife and family to come. And then I had to be with the family. And then I had to go into a room with everyone when the doctor was explaining to them what happened.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it was very hard. And it was, I had to take like time just to breathe for myself to
Yeah.
process everything that was happening. But
That's important. I'm sure
it's
you
in
have to set those boundaries up where you give yourself some time. That's what you're
yes,
talking about with the
yes,
decompress. Yeah.
yeah.
Man. You know what? I don't think I really truly understood what chaplaincy really involved. And it can be demanding. It
Oh,
can, I'm just thinking that's not when I thought of it, I don't think I pictured it like that. But it's interesting that you said. I'm glad you shared so much about it because even people who may be listening may not have heard of it. I even know some of our friends have even expressed an interest in it. So it's good to hear you talk about it. So,
mhm.
so let me ask you this. How did you reconcile what you were doing with the chaplaincy with what you felt God was calling you? Was it the same? Was it different? Was it just an evolution of your calling?
I think it was an evolution of my calling. I think
Okay.
my calling evolved. Um,
Mhm.
Most people who know me know my testimony that I was on drugs and
Mhm.
God delivered me. And a lot of people labeled me as an evangelist because
Mm.
that was outreach and going
Yeah.
to the people that were caught up
Okay.
in addiction and
Uh-huh.
alcoholism and things like that. And because that was my story,
Mhm.
people labeled me and put me in that box.
Mhm.
You know,
Okay.
every ministry every church I've been involved with put me in that box. And I was always involved with outreach. And I would always say to myself, this is not my area. This is not my area. I mean, I can do it, yes,
Uh-huh.
but this is not my calling. But I think it's chaplaincy is an evolution of my calling. I
Mhm.
think that we're all called to witness, but it's
Yeah.
how you witness and
Mhm.
where is your pulpit? Where is your
Mhm.
platform? Where is God calling to you in the vineyard? The vineyard is big, but
It
what is
is.
your area of the vineyard?
Mhm.
So once God shows you that and it becomes apparent and evident, then that
Mhm.
becomes what you do. Hopefully, that becomes what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that sometimes I don't think that people I like when you said evolution because sometimes when you talk about a calling, people don't think they think, oh, this is what I heard him say I'm supposed to be doing now. And then if they start hearing other things, like, no, that's not what he said, but it evolves. And it's important that you keep listening and hearing and adhering to that. So I like that you said that. One of the things that when I listen to you, I can't help but think about a legacy because you've done things and started things that I often think, where did all this come from? Is it simply coming from your experience with God, or was there some type of legacy in your family or friends? Or I know you talked about elder Faith. Do you feel like your connection with her is what kind of led you? Was it anything else?
Hmm. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna honestly say I don't really know. I know that Dr. Faye is what for is who God used to get me into seminary that opened up the other
Mm-hmm.
things that he wanted to show me and to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because I don't know what my legacy will be.
Hmm.
I really
Okay.
don't know. I really am not sure, but I would definitely know that it doesn't matter where you start from,
Mm-hmm.
but God
Yeah.
has something greater over here. Don't just, I mean, I could have just stopped at, I'm not using anymore. I could have just stopped there. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to go any further.
Right. Right.
But let me just back up a minute. Even whenever I got delivered from drugs, God always had me in the company of elevated people. I was the
Mm-hmm.
only lay person. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
else was ministers and evangelists at one church.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody.
Yeah.
When I went to the next church, I was a lay leader, and everybody else was ministers and
Mm-hmm.
deacons.
Mm-hmm.
I was always the only one lay person was me,
Yeah.
and everybody else was licensed.
Okay.
The same thing when I went to Changing a Generation.
Mm-hmm.
I was the lay person.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else was the
Ministers.
ministers and elders
Yeah.
until I finally got into the ministers and elders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when I went to seminary, and this is so, I was talking to a few of my former classmates. All of my classmates that I had community with are pastors. Every
Hmm.
single one of them have gotten churches. One is in my hometown in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
One is in um, a place here in Georgia. It's about an hour and a half from here. And I have two friends. I have one in Mississippi. I got one in New Orleans, and I got one here
Okay.
in Cobb County. They're all pastors. I'm the only one that's not a pastor.
Hmm.
Again, and they were like, "Oh, Trudy, your turn is coming." I'm like, "No,
No, it's not, because you know
my
what you.
path, yeah, my path is right where I'm going. Don't be trying to
Uh-huh.
tell God he don't know his business, but my path is right here. That's my pulpit right there with chaplaincy in the
Yeah.
hospital.
Yeah, I love it.
That's my ministry,
I love that though. I
you
love
know.
it. I
But
mean, you know your part.
yes.
And there's nothing like knowing. When you were talking earlier about chaplaincy, and you say, "This is it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing." And there's a saying that say that, when you know your purpose and what you're supposed to do, and when you don't care about getting paid for it, you'll do it anytime, anywhere. And that's what it sounded like when you were describing that. Now, I want to go back to what you were saying about Dr. Fate and talking about sisterhood. Do you think that was one of the first times you really felt supported? And if not, describe a time, the first time, from a sister. Or if that was the time, talk about how did it all happen?
Um, I think that was probably the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, with the understanding that I have now, I think that was the first time that I've had a sister who supported, showed, cared enough
Mm-hmm.
to direct me in the right,
Mm-hmm.
direction, and wasn't intimidated
Mm-hmm.
when I stepped up and said, "Okay,"
Yeah.
because a lot of people that I thought I was in community with
Uh-huh.
walked away
Hmm.
when I went to seminary.
Hmm. Why?
So that was, I mean, I thought I had sisterhood in other places, but it just wasn't.
Hmm. So, because this is something that we were talking about, my son was asking me a lot of questions about support and women and how they get along and all of that kind of thing. And I was trying to explain to him how I showed up when I was 19 and 20 in relationships with other women isn't how I necessarily show up now.
Mhm.
And how I've learned how to have relationships that are meaningful in sisters, what I call, like you were saying,
Mhm.
there's something
Mhm.
to that.
Yes.
Having a sisterhood to it where, you know, they have this thing where we're saying we listen and we do not judge, or and I do think that that's part of it. Like when it's my sister, I'm like, okay, I'm for you, I'm supporting you, I'm not judging you, I'm supporting you whether I agree with what you're doing. And I do think that's part of it, the
Mhm.
sisterhood part. So I was just when I was listening to you talk about it, and you were saying how you thought you had sisterhood before, and I wondered what was missing. What did you realize what was missing?
I didn't even realize that I didn't have sisterhood until I started advancing myself
Mhm.
and people start to fall off. What
Mm.
their reasoning is, I can't tell you.
Right, right.
I just know that in certain instances, there, someone
Mhm.
even said to me, I won't name names, but someone even said to me, "What do you need to go to school for? What are you going to do with a degree? Do you need a degree?" I was like, I said to myself, like, "What? Who says that?" I'm like, "Who says that?"
I don't know.
Um, no one, anyone that I have been in community with, if you tell me that you want to do something or you're going to do something
Mhm.
and you want me to be a support to you, I'm going to call you next week and ask you about it. Because
Yeah, I
that's
can
me.
hear. I'm a witness to that. I'm a witness
Because
to that one.
I genuinely want people to move forward if that's what they want to do. If you say that's what you want to do, I'm in your corner. What do I need to do to help you? Do you need me to show
Mhm.
up? Do I need to do this? What do you need me to do? And I genuinely want to do that, but you don't really find that. Everyone is not going to be that way for you.
No. You know what? I've just learned to just take it where it is.
Hmm.
And I don't judge where it isn't. In the sense that I've had experiences in my life where I was thinking the support was coming and the sisterhood was coming from that direction, but it ended up coming from a whole nother place. And I've
Hmm.
just learned over my life to just accept it where it is. And whatever the relationships are with the other individuals, just accept it for what it is and just move on with what God is telling me to do or whatever I'm supposed to be doing at that time. Because it may not just be the time or just need not be the person. So
Right.
I just decided just to say, you know what? That's good. I'm just good with it, however it is. And you're definitely the person who, if you hear somebody saying something they want to do, you definitely support. I'm a witness to it. You're very supportive. And, that's why I thought this was such a good topic for you to talk about, is because aging gracefully sometimes, especially women sometimes,
Hmm.
it can be a difficult time and hard for them to talk honestly about how they feel. And when I asked you the question about where do you think you would have been, and your answer was so pivotal to me because you said, well, I don't know. I'm not where I thought because my thoughts are not God's thoughts. And I thought, what a beautiful way to look at it. And I think that if we looked at it like that, like, well, no, this isn't but my thoughts are not God's thought, and I'm leaning and depending on Him. So I'm good. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm thankful for what you shared today, um, about legacy, because we don't always know. But I felt like, even your experiences with just being in a place with other people who were elevated, one thing, you never felt intimidated. You never felt
Now,
like,
I'm gonna interject. Yes, I have. I just didn't
but
let
I never.
anybody show it.
Well, that's still
I didn't
good.
show it because I would tell God, why you get with all these people? Oh,
Uh-huh.
they know more than me. I don't know as much. They have all this education. I would say that. I wouldn't say it outwardly, but that
But
would
you
be
would
my
say it in.
conversations with
Mhm.
God. But if
Mhm.
that's where He had me, that's where I showed up. And I tried to
Yeah.
show up, to my best ability and learn and glean like from you, from
Mhm.
your husband. I tried to glean from those who were above me,
Mhm.
and I saw the nuggets. I could hear. I paid attention to everything, so
Mhm.
that one day, if I had to do it, I could do it. At least I
Yeah.
heard some things that I could use. But I,
Mhm.
I, I, I did. I felt intimidated, but I'm not the type of person that I'm just gonna, just step back and be like, oh no, I'm gonna come all the way up in there.
You're gonna take up space.
So I'm gonna take up space. That's right. I'm gonna
Mhm.
come all the way up in there, and like the old people say, come to the front where the oil is. I'll sit in the back of the church and come all the way to the front.
That's good. To me, that's a great posture to have about life in general. I just think, more of us, we should feel more confident to just take up space and just to be our authentic selves. So, thank you so much for sharing with me
Thank you for
today.
inviting me. I am
I
so
loved
excited about the
it.
podcast. I'm so excited about
Yeah.
it.
I'm so excited, and this is the first episode, and it just went so wonderful. I want to just thank you for sharing your heart. You didn't have to, but I know that people are going to be blessed because I was. So, for everyone who's listening, I just want to encourage you as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Be blessed.
Be blessed. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for doing it. Have a blessed day.
You too. Thank you.